everyone, this is Sara and welcome to my crochet channel. Today's video is lesson 5 in our Back to Crochet Basics lessons. In our last lesson, we learned how to double crochet in nice neat rows, how to chain 3, and how to turn, and making sure that we count those stitches. In today's lesson, we're going to continue on with what we learned. We're still going to be doing a double crochet, but we're going to learn how to double crochet in a circle, how to make double crochet increase stitches, and how to join and chain 3, and how that all works when stitching in a circle. For our practice project, we're going to be doing this little Easter basket. And with this little Easter basket, we're going to be practicing just about everything that we have learned in lessons 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Now, as always, with our Back to Crochet Basic lessons, there is a blog that goes along with it. And you can find that blog link in the notes underneath this video. What you're going to need for today's lesson is some worsted weight number 4 acrylic yarn, and we've been using solid colors just to make it a little bit easier to see your stitches, but you can use any worsted weight number 4 yarn that you have in your yarn stash. This is Red Heart Super Saver, but like I said, any worsted weight number 4 yarn will work for our lessons. We're still stitching with our H hook, which is a 5.00 millimeter hook. You'll need a needle and you'll need a pair of scissors. In our last lesson, we learned how to double crochet in straight rows, how to chain 3 and turn, and how that all works. Today we're going to be learning how to double crochet in a circle. So we're going to take our yarn and make our slip knot. We'll put our hook through and chain 5. We're going to join this into a circle by putting the tail of the yarn over our hook and pulling it through that loop and just gently snugging that down. Now there is another technique called the magic circle that you can use for this, but we're not going to be discussing that one today. All right, now I do what I call a stay knot. I just make a little knot so that that loop of chains doesn't come undone. All right, now we're going to take this loop of chains and turn it over so that the tail of yarn is on this side and the working yarn is on this side. We're going to put our hook in that chain of 5 circle that we made. We're going to bring up a loop and chain 3. The chain 3 counts as a double crochet, and we're going to make 9 more double crochets in this chain 5 loop. We also want to stitch over this tail of yarn. So yarn over, go in the loop, pull up a loop. You'll have those 3 loops on your hook. Yarn over, go through the first 2, yarn over, and go through the second 2. So that's a double crochet. We need to stitch 8 more double crochets. Now, not every pattern will have you start with the same number of double crochets. It depends on what they're having you do, what you're making. Maybe you're making a hat or a coaster or something like that. Depends on what you're making, how many double crochets you will put in that chain 5 loop. Let's count what we have so far. We have a chain 3, which counts as our first double crochet. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Well, I made one too many, so I'll just pull it out. So I have 8 double crochets on my chain, or on my chain loop. And what we do to join our circle is, you'll notice this chain 3 will go right in the top of that chain 3. Pull a loop through, and then we'll pull that loop through the loop that's already on our hook. That's a slip stitch, and then we'll chain 3. So there's our circle. We have 8 double crochets. So now we need to do a second row. And depending on what the pattern tells you to do, whether they have you increase a bunch or a little, depends on what the pattern is going to be. And what we're going to do for our second row is we're going to stitch 2 double crochets in each of these double crochets. When you stitch a second double crochet in the same stitch, that's called a double crochet increase. So our chain 3 counts as 1 double crochet. So we're going to stitch 1 double crochet in the same stitch as that chain 3. And what's going to happen is we have 8 beginning double crochets. We're going to stitch 2 double crochets in each stitch around, and that's going to give us an increase so that we'll have 16. A double crochet increase is just where you increase your double crochets, and you just stitch 2 right in that same stitch. Here's 1, and 2. That's a double crochet increase. It's a lot easier than you thought, isn't it? Alrighty. So we're increasing from 8 double crochets to 16 because we're stitching 2 double crochets in each of the double crochets. There we go. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16. So now I will join to the top of my chain 3. Make sure I get through there and stitch a slip stitch. And then you usually chain 3. Now remember, depends on the pattern that you're making, how much they will have you increase. And it also depends on the pattern whether your chain 3 counts as a double crochet. Because remember, they may be having you do a different stitch on the next row. And so therefore, that may not be a chain 3. For instance, if I was going to stitch a row of single crochets around, I may only have you chain 1 because a chain 3 would be too many. All right, and that's how we do double crochet in a circle. For our practice project, we're going to be making a little basket like this. We'll be beginning with our double crochet in the round. We'll do a row of single crochet at the top and then a chain handle. So we'll be doing lots of things to practice what we have learned in the first 5 lessons. What you're going to need is some worsted weight in any color, and I decided to make an orange one. We're still stitching with our H hook, 5.00 millimeter. You're going to need a needle for weaving in those ends and a pair of scissors. All right, we're going to begin with our slip knot. We're going to chain 5. We're going to join that chain 5 in a circle. snug it down and make that stay knot. Making sure our tail of yarn's over here and our working yarn is over here. We'll put our hook through, pull up a loop, and chain 3, just like we did in the beginning demonstration. Our chain 3 counts as a double crochet, and now we're going to stitch 9 more double crochets because I want 10 double crochets for the bottom of our basket. So hook in, pull up a loop, yarn over, go through the first 2, yarn over, and go through the second 2. And we'll do this for 8 more double crochets so that we have a total of 10. And remember, your chain 3 counts as your first double crochet. There we go. It will be a tight fit. You'll have to squeeze them all in there. Whoopsie. All right, let me see how many I have. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So I need to make 2 more double crochets. So I have a total of 10 double crochets. All right, I have 10 double crochets, and if you pull that little string, it'll close that hole in the center of your basket. All right, so now I'm going to join to the top of the chain 3 with a slip stitch, and I'm going to chain 3. And again, this chain 3 in this project counts as our double crochet. So we're going to yarn over, and I'm going to go right in that same stitch as the chain 3. And now I'm going to place 2 double crochets in each of the double crochets around. I have 10 double crochets, and so I'll end up with an increase of 20 because I'm going to stitch 2 double crochets in each of the double crochets around. So I'll go right in that next double crochet and stitch 2 double crochets. One and 2. See how that's making a nice flat bottom to our little basket? All right, let me count. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18. So I have this last double crochet, and I'm going to put 2 double crochets in that last stitch. I'm going to join to the top of this chain 3 with a slip stitch and chain 3. And there's the bottom of our basket. So we went from 10 double crochets to 20 by placing 2 double crochets in each stitch. So we increased from 10 to 20. Now we're not going to increase any more. What we're going to do on this row is we're going to go right in that next stitch and just stitch 1 double crochet in each of the stitches around. On this row and on each of the rows that are double crochet, our chain 3 counts as our first stitch. So make sure you go in the next stitch to begin your double crochet stitches. Now, we did not increase on this row, so we're still only going to have 20 double crochet stitches. There we go. And it's very important that you count your stitches, because when you're stitching in the round, it's very easy to accidentally add or subtract a stitch. And then your count will be all off. All right, so let's count. I'm going to turn it out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. I need one more stitch in this last double crochet. We're going to join again to the top of the chain 3 with a slip stitch and chain 3. Now you'll notice that I pushed the bag out because this is the outside of my basket, not bag. And it's going to sit like this. Now we're going to do 2 more rows. Here's 1, 2, 3 rows. 1, 2, 3. And we're going to do 2 more rows of double crochet, just like we did. And this is a great way to practice our double crochet stitches in the round. So again, we're stitching 1 double crochet in each double crochet around. We are not increasing, so we're still going to only have 20 double crochets. There we go. Pull out a little bit more yarn there. Almost around. There's my last stitch. See how it's making into a nice basket? Let's make sure we count. All right, so I got that last row all the way around. Double crochets, 20 stitches, join to the top of the chain 3 with a slip stitch. Now on this row we're only going to chain 1 because we're going to place a single crochet in each of the stitches around. So we'll go right in that next stitch and stitch a single crochet. And just to refresh what a single crochet is to your mind, you go through the stitch, pull up a loop, yarn over, and just go through both loops. That's our single crochet. And we're going to place 1 single crochet in each stitch around. And this will give our basket a nice edge and help it to stand up and hold its shape. Once you've stitched a single crochet in each stitch around, you're going to join to the first single crochet, not the chain 1, but the single crochet with a slip stitch. And then we're going to chain 20 chains. Oops, jumped right off my hook. Once you've chained your 20 chains, you're going to count over to stitch 11 so that it measures exactly even across on your handle. And you're going to join to that 11th single crochet with a slip stitch. And then I just slip stitch in the next one just to make sure it's going to stay put. And cut your yarn. Tie off and pull that string to the inside of the bag. I should say of the basket. I keep wanting to call it a bag. Now I'm going to flip it back out, wrong side out, and now we're going to weave in these ends. So here's the one from the bottom of the bag. And gently pull on that and it will close that hole, and then we're just going to weave that end in so that it stays closed. We don't want any of our little goodies to slide out. Alrighty, clip that, and then we need to weave in where we added our handle. So we'll do the same thing. We'll thread it onto our needle, and then we'll just weave it going one way. And remember, make sure you go through stitches, not holes, and try to get through some of the fibers of the yarn. And I like to go 3 ways, one, back, and then the other. And that'll hold it nice and tight. All right, so here's our little practice basket. It'll sit up all by itself. You can add some goodies to it or an Easter egg. And it's a great practice project for practicing your double crochets, your single crochets, and your chains.